Alright, so I'm going to put a couple more coats on this thing and then we'll install them. So, a couple more coats, go get some lunch, come back and install them. But this is interesting to me. That little run is kind of flattened out. And I'm betting I can get the next several coats to cover it up. Also of interest is, get my shadow out the way, the texture of the plastic itself actually does come through pretty well. Looking at some of these areas where it pulled up. You want to pull your masking off while it's still wet, obviously, so I'm going to get an X-Acto knife and slice those areas. Get out of the shadow. And here it was pretty significant. That was the one last night that I showed that was pretty dang pulled up. So I'll slice those with the X-Acto knife so the masking tape will pull off like I want it to. And probably put another can or two on these things. Get a good solid coating on it. That's curious. Is that a blemish in the plastic, or is that, yeah, it looks like a blemish in the plastic. Not necessarily a run. But yeah, I'm liking the feel of these. It is a rubberized feel. But yeah, let's get these things coated up and then let them dry, and we'll get into install for the rest of the afternoon. Luckily I don't have to work tonight, so we've got all day to do this. Alright, here we go, all coated up. That's 2 cans each side, so that should do it. Get some glare here, high noon in Utah. But yeah, I think that's going to look pretty freaking cool. I like that gray came out pretty close to the gray that's on the truck. I was worried it'd be darker, but I think it actually worked out pretty dang good. It's the same kind of medium gray. Now I'm going to wait till it dries. You see in there, focus, 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 there's a little bit of the plasti dip sticking there. I'll peel that off after everything's cured. We're going to go have lunch. We'll let everything totally bake in the sun and cure, and then we'll get in there and try to peel that off the lenses. It should come right off, and we'll see how good this stuff peels. I think I got pretty good thick coatings just judging by that. Yeah, that's a pretty good coat. But yeah, we'll go after lunch, let these cook in the sun. Good thick coating on them. And then we'll get to the install. We'll see you in a minute. Alright, you got to strip your doors down. I'm removing those door panels. I've done them so much I'm not going to show them in this video. You can go back look at past videos where I'm messing with them, where I did the installation. I talk about how to do that. You can go to A1 Auto Parts or someone like that. I forget who they are, but there's a, if that's them, they do good tutorials on how to remove these. But for the mirrors, you're really interested in this right here. You have this foam block. Squish it, don't rip it. Squish it on out of there. And set that aside with everything else because you will want it back in there. And you notice, you can see 1, 2, 3 bolts, and those correspond with what the new mirror came with. Here's the wiring. And so I'm going to have to disconnect that, and that may actually be made to plug right into the new one, which would be nice. Where is the color convention here is different. I'll have to pull out my book and look at it all. Hook them all up and see if things actually work. I'll plug the controls back in once I got the mirrors mounted. These mirrors, what the crap? Camera's acting funny. These mirrors come with a backing plate as well. The new ones do. One of the other reasons I want to change this out, I don't know. Yeah, you can kind of see that here. Yeah, you can totally see that in the light. Lesson learned here: do not scrape your mirrors with a razor blade. Yeah, ask me how I know that one. Your tempered hardened glass in your door can take it, but mirrors, no. It permanently scratches them and you get all of that crap. And it's distracting as it can be with the rear lights, you know, people in the rear view mirror. So that's another reason to change these mirrors out, but just general mirror maintenance and care. Use chemical methods to pull off overspray or whatever, you know, some Xylol or something. But yeah, I'm going to start pulling this apart and see what we can do. I did pull off the entire thing just in case I drop anything down into the door panel, but also because of the wiring that's going to go on. that additional wire is going to have to run through, go to that boot, and then come out in here. And I've already got something down from here for the marker lights, and I'm going to put a relay in there so I can run these marker lights on this, and then additional marker lights I'll put on in the future. But yeah, let me get to it. Now this may come back to haunt me, but I am removing this little block to get out of the way of the whole triangular housing of the mounting plate, because it's much larger on the new mirrors. So I'm just using a simple hand hacksaw. I'm going to pull that tab off. Hopefully there's still enough sticking power right here to keep these vent visors from going anywhere. If they do, uh-oh, I guess I'll be buying new ones then, but yeah, that's what I'm doing. Alright, here we go. We're preliminarily mounted up. Put it on, pulled it off, figured out that this big long stud has to be installed into the mirror housing first, and then you slide it through, and this bracket clamps up over the outside here. Should be hidden by the escutcheon cover that's there. Then you use the same normal ones in there. I use the factory hardware. They supply it with other nuts, but I like this factory hardware that's captured washer. So it fits there, nice and neat. Definitely use hand tools when snugging this stuff down. I've installed mirrors before on the S10 and I snapped stuff because I wasn't using hand tools. But get it down to where it feels snug, but before you feel like you're going to break something. What I don't like, see in here, I don't know if the shadow is in there, but there's the factory's control plug wires. This thing comes all the way down to here. So I need to separate this heat shrink tubing, because this blue one, I'm going to run it all the way in here, through the boot and into the cab. But this one's about this one is 3 feet, 4 feet longer than I need. So I definitely got to separate all that out. Loop up the wire, do something with it, and then stuff in the control wire in this corner. Looking in there, yeah, I can probably stuff it out of the way, keep it out of the way of the window. Yeah, that's, so there's the window track there, so it should stay out of the way of the window if I stuff it in there. Then get that soundproofing sponge back in there. But yeah, so yeah, let me show you what I mean over here on the table. So here's the one I haven't installed. This long stud, so install it first before you go sliding them into the truck, and those ones are already installed from the factory. But have this installed like this, slide it through, get that bracket in there like I just showed, and then cinch everything down. You don't have a lot of, hello trash truck, you don't have a whole lot of room to get that done, so it does help to have an 11-year-old son who can do it. But yeah, there's a preliminary look. Let me get back to it. Alright, so I separated those lines of wires and then wrapped them up with electrical tape, because these are very, very thin. I want to make sure they're protected as I'm doing things with them. Half tempted to shorten this one, because holy crap, I mean that's how big a loop of wire you've got there. I think I'm just going to roll it around, loop it up something like that and tuck it in there. I'd rather not mess with the continuity of these thin wires and have some sort of gremlin show up. But this one should reach all the way in here, so I don't even know that I need the extension that comes with it. It's already going to be there, but I'll use it because I'm going to wire up the turn signal one. I'm going to have to take a lead on out to one of the turn signals and then tie it in there on each side. And the clearance one, like I said, I've got in a line off of this, so when I'm just on parking, that'll light those up, so the clearance light will be on. But yeah, I think it'd be better if they'd have done this from the get-go. 2 different sets of lines. This one could definitely be 18 to 20 inches shorter. Yeah, I'll work with it. I was just telling my boys, anytime you customize a truck or car, you pretty much figure on having to do work. It's not going to be a straight shot for most things. But yeah, let's get back to it. Alright, so here's something I saw on the GMT400.com thread about these mirrors. So on the forum thread, someone mentioned that the mirrors were wired backwards. So yeah, before I get everything buttoned up, I hooked in my mirror controls, turn on the truck. Might as well turn that off right now. And yes, indeed, you push the button this way and the mirror moves that way. I mean, it's backwards on side to side. So he'd said an orange wire and a red wire flip, and so that's what I did. I pulled these out, repinned the red with a yellow stripe and the red wire, just switched those ones. And those happen to be the left and right movement mirrors or motors, and that did fix it. So yeah, you get these mirrors and you got one of these trucks, be prepared to do that. And then getting those out, I actually dug into my sewing kit and pulled the seam stripper out to be able to get in there to pull those pins out. You do have those little gray retainers, you just pry those out, and then you got to get in on the inside of those to pull those pins out. Any of these, it's factory style one where it's got a retainer, and you got to disengage that retainer to pull the wire back out. But I did that. I figured I could have gone the ghetto method of just plain switching the wires and stripping, crimping, whatever, but I'd rather just undo the pins and put the pins in correctly, keep everything clean, no splices, no nothing. So yeah, I did that. Now the mirror works correctly the way it should. Yeah, which means I got to do the same thing on the other side. Again, anytime you modify, there's going to be more than just what you think there is. I don't know why the factory switched them like that, wherever they're making these at, but it did. So you're doing these mirrors on this style truck, be prepared for that operation. Alright, I'm going to get back to it. Let's get this one buttoned up. Alright, so I did fish the blue wire loom through here, through the rubber boot. It's inside there. The connector ends up buried internal here, so it doesn't come out far enough, so pull up that. And here's an interesting note too, besides that connector being buried inside the structure of the truck, so if you want to disconnect it again, you're going to have to pull it out here to disconnect it. But these two wirings that are supplied, this one's shorter. It's shorter than the one that's supplied for the other side, so make sure you're using the right side, because that will become key when you want to run. It'll become key when you want to run from all the way at that door all the way over here and join your wiring up under here with all of your lighting that's basically coming from here. So yeah, still looking for where I am actually going to put the relay under here. I'd like to have it up under here somewhere and stuff it up high out of the way, but have the relay so it takes power from not through the switch to run all these more lights, even though a lot of it's LED, it's low power draw, but so that I can run power off the battery, because I am going to run more marker lights later. I've still got the cab lights that I got to do up on the roof, and probably do some side lights along the side here somewhere, so I get a lot more marking lights on this truck. But yeah, that's the next step. Is I'm going to button up these door panels, put them back together, and then leave that open so I can play with the wiring in there and make sure I got everything marked the way I want it marked in here. A little bit more electrical work to do before these are where I need them to be. But yeah, let me get back to it. Here we go, all mounted up. Not too far off the color gray I've got. And the only difference is probably half a shade difference, and it's matte versus gloss. I haven't got any of the wiring or lighting done. I'll do that tomorrow. This took long enough as it is. But yeah, that's what they are. We'll see if I like driving with them or not. Too late to go back. But I definitely do like the convex portion in the bottom, so I can see what my rear tire is doing when I'm backing into something. Which I like that right there, yeah. So yeah, we'll continue this tomorrow, and I'll get the wiring done, get them all lit up, and show you that then.